before we move on. So Jeffrey, Kachulu, Dihan, and Sharufa, thank you very much for your taking the time to prepare some reflections and comments today. Let me move on to our next session. This is Countries in Situation. We'll start with a first presentation from Ashraf from Afghanistan, and then we'll have additional reflections from Myanmar, Iran, and DPRK from Muni Mohammed, Mr. Ali from Iran, and our very own Sheikh Harudzaman here in the regional office. Sheikh, you're welcome to join me on the panel on the front, the back table here, sorry. Well, let me hand over to Ashraf for the start of your presentation. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
We hear you, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues, and thank you for giving me the chance to present this presentation. I don't know, anyone will share it, or I will share it from my side?
Okay. If by chance you're able to be closer to the microphone, because you're a little fuzzy, your voice is.
Okay, I hope it's clear now.
Can you ask him to use the headphone?
Do you happen to have a headset?
Yeah, let me use it. Just 1 second.
Well, he's putting on his headset. If anyone wants to stand up and stretch your legs, please do so. We can do a quick song of head, shoulders, knees, and toes. How many people have sung this to your children to get them to go to sleep at night? Or do you want me to lead you through head, shoulders, knees, and toes?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Let me share the presentation.
We'll do that after lunch. You can tell I still have a toddler at home. So at any rate, thank you everyone for indulging my silliness. Ashraf, over to you now. Thank you for putting on your headset.
Can you confirm my screen, seeing my screen?
We see your screen. Maybe look in your microphone and make sure that your headset is the microphone being used. Just to double check. Otherwise, it's a sound system problem for us. But we see your presentation. It's not in presentation mode.
It's not presentation mode?
Not yet. And I'll ask you as you get into it, I see there's 18 slides. If you can choose your, let's say, 5 most impactful slides to present to us. What about now?
It's okay now.
We see it now, yes. So I'm in the spirit of timing here, can I give you about 8 minutes?
Okay.
So hand over to you for about 8 minutes, and I'm sorry, I'll chime in and give you a 1-minute mark. But please try to pick your sort of 5 or 6 most impactful slides, and we will and then we'll invite our other speakers to speak. We'll take about, I guess at this point, approximately 40 minutes for the whole session. Over to you.
Yeah, I will try my best to be on time for this. Thank you again. And the presentation is, as you know, it's for the Afghanistan country. And I'm proud to show this picture that awarded a few days ago in Bangkok for the RAB as the best picture for better production. So this was taken from one of our colleagues. Immediately, I will start with the introduction about the agriculture in Afghanistan, which is contributed to around 34% of the country GDP. 59 of it's for export, employed around 47% of the population. Afghanistan with a 45 million Afghan, of which 80 of them depend on agriculture, livestock, forestry for their livelihood, and 75 of them live in rural areas. 66 are farmers, and 56% of them women in livestock sectors. As you see in the map, irrigated land and rainfed land is the main areas where only represent 5.6 and 5.8, and most of the lands are rangeland land, which represent 47%. Food insecurity crisis in Afghanistan are driven by multiple factors, including the conflict, limited access, high quality inputs, limited market access, outdated farming methods, weak infrastructure, and many other factors, including the insufficient extension services and knowledge taking within. In the last 50 years ago, Afghanistan was food insecure. Since then, agriculture production and productivity have stagnated. And if you can see from the chart, in 1970, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, India, and China, almost the wheat yield was almost similar to all of them. But you can see the increase in 2022. Where Afghanistan maximum 2.1 as the average, comparing, for example, for the China, which is increased 5 times. And all of this due to the factors that I mentioned affecting this sector. Since 2021, FAO humanitarian and non-humanitarian programs have been driven by the same transformative ambitions, which support the increasing of the production and toward the better production. In Afghanistan, it is kind of shifting toward the resilience and sustainable agri-food system that can close the gap in food security, improving the rural livelihood, and support the economic self-resilience as well. This enhancing productivity and closing the food gap, supporting value addition and reducing post-harvest losses, promoting climate-smart agriculture, and through these efforts, Afghanistan agri-food system is positions to evolve into productive, efficient, and inclusive sector that close to the food production gap and contribute to national food security, employment, and economic stability. There is 4 main barriers here in Afghanistan: the productivity and the production gap, which is represent the low wheat yield, low production of milk, and many other factors. The other barrier is input and factor gaps, low domestic production from the seeds, fertilizer, feeds, equipment, and machinery, and many other things. Availability in the local market, the issue of the water and the irrigation. The barrier 3 is practices, technology, and extension services, which is almost not available in the country, still using traditional crop cultivation and livestock management. This with the high dependence and family farming, and there is no labor strategy. The fourth barrier is the high exposure to climate change and environment stress, including cold, heat waves, floods, drought, sand storms, and many other issues related to the climate change and environment stress. Agriculture policy and the country priorities, as you know, since 2021, the government is not recognized. We are dealing with de facto authorities here, and they have 5 policy priorities. We are doing very close coordination with them from the technical point of view, and technically they are supporting these priorities, starting by increasing food production, increase livestock production, improve irrigation and water management, sustainable natural resource management, and knowledge and innovation. From FAO side, we have 10 investment priorities, boosting national food production, including wheat and fertilizers, increasing livestock production, increasing national milk production and processing, strengthening livestock fodder and feed system, improved water access, storage and utilization, protection and restoring forests, enhancing women in rural agriculture. This is including the female extension workers, alternatives, options to poppy cultivation, and there is a lot of activities to introduce new alternatives, land administration system, technical capacity building. These are the main investment priorities that FAO doing. As a note, as something worth to mention, there is limited resourcing of plant protection, research extension, soil management, animal health, livestock breed improvement, and phytosanitary food safety control, early warning system, and many others. Our pathway at scale and integrated investment in climate smart production of livestock, wheat, under the rain-fed and the new variety irrigated, and value addition at the same time. Best management practices for crop and livestock production for other foods, including soybean, vegetables, poultry, livestock, and dairy. A crop diversification for the vegetables and orchard and nuts, maximizing women participation and education. The second one regarding market-oriented and certified seeds, quality seeds. And here we are talking about the wheat, as the wheat is the main crop here in the country, but also including livestock and dairy production. Extension services, including use of digital tools, market information, as well as agro-hydro meteorological forecasting, early warning system. And the early warning system, we have a system here in Afghanistan. We called it a community-based drought early warning system. We are supporting also. For the private sector-driven long-term transformation solution, we are working with the private sector and IFIs to build the private sector capacity and rules with regard to strong inputs and output market as the vehicle for long-term agri-food system transformation.
Ashraf, I'm going to ask you to
yes.
try to finish up in about 2 minutes.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Since 2021, FAO program have been driven by transformative mission. FAO humanitarian activity have sought to reduce the food insecurity and lay down transformative foundation. Operational scale and ambition have combined to make agri-food system transformation a realistic and achievable goal. Just very quick, in FAO, number of people reached in 2023 is 18.7 million. In terms of money spent on the 4 Ps since 2021, we are talking about 750 million raised, and the delivery is 640 million. And as I mentioned, covering 18.7 people. Example of linking coordination with other betters, climate smart agriculture initiative through farmer field schools address better production and better environment. by promoting practices to enhance soil health and reduce water usages. And also another example is linked to the nutrition, where we contribute to better nutrition through improved crop yield and diversity. How does the country integrate other for the gender inclusion? We have a lot of program for gender, for youth, and also introducing technology and innovation, and also regarding data and analytics for crop, weather, and other things. The main things that we are looking for support to increase technical support to providing more expertise. Of course, support more in resource mobilization at regional level, improve the networking, partnership, and knowledge sharing also at regional level and at the global level. Thank you. I hope that I was, I'm sorry I was fast, but I hope that I cover all the topic.
You were fast and you were also comprehensive. Thank you, Ashraf.
Thank you.
There's a lot of lessons that can be learned from the work in Afghanistan. And I think probably 5 to 10 years ago, if somebody said, okay, can FAO put together a quick program and deliver over $500 million or $600,000 in a 3-year period, it probably would have been laughed off the table. But in fact, that's what's happened here. It's a very different circumstance, but I think there's a lot of lessons that can be learned on how FAO, as one FAO, has mobilized around this. Thank you very much for your presentations. We go much more deeply into this, and we'll open the floor for comments. Very quickly, I wanted to go to our other panelists and start with Munir Mohammed in Myanmar, joining us virtually. I want to give you the floor for 2 to 3 minutes, just to add any sort of additionality or reflections that you have in terms of countries and situation. Over to you, Munir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bob and Ashraf, for the presentation. It's really an opportunity to discuss more about Afghanistan and Myanmar, major similarities and minor dissimilarities, comparative advantages and disadvantages for FAO. So I'm really happy to see that this presentation is reflecting to a greater extent the situation in Myanmar. I will not go in detail because all the constraints highlighted by Ashraf in terms of better production are almost the same, or even some of the indicators are worse in Myanmar in terms of access to the affected population, inflationary crisis, security and conflict, which is still escalating in Myanmar, but probably in Afghanistan, it is a bit stagnant. So we are worse than Afghanistan in terms of humanitarian crisis, food insecurity, malnutrition, and even funding crisis in the country. Disasters profile of both the countries is the same because, you know, Myanmar suffered a lot from consecutive cyclones and flooding, which really affected a lot of crops, and even 21% of the arable land was destroyed, totally destroyed. And mostly the farmers are expecting very low harvest. Regarding the programming approach, definitely both the country offices are interacting for the last 6-7 months in terms of the unique situation of the countries. We are collaborating very closely for MEAL, which is a system already in offering in both the country offices. In terms of capacity building and demonstration and other climate smart approaches, we have been implementing ADB funded project, which has similar component of climate smart agriculture. So regarding the agri value chain, as Afghanistan is a very potential country, but Myanmar is also a very potential country for pulses and also for fisheries, for livestock. So we have advantages, but we have many, many issues and problems, of which the top one is the funding crisis. For the time being, Myanmar is relying on TCPs and a few GCPs projects, and we are contributing to for better. in a way under the major constraints. When we talk about the four better, we are focusing right now on better production because, because of the crisis and conflict, there is huge displacement. 3.5 million people, small farmers, have been displaced. So we are thinking about restoration of resumption of the production rather than quality and other aspects. Myanmar, as you know, that we have de facto, so we don't have a CPF signed with the government, but we are following the TCF, UN Transition Cooperation Framework, and we are contributing to their strategic priorities. So I find it a very unique opportunity for both the countries to closely collaborate and also benefit from each other experiences in terms of operational constraints, in terms of funding constraints, and also to overcome those major challenges on the basis of the lesson learned and best practices for both the countries. So we will collaborate and coordinate with each other. Thank you very much for this unique opportunity. I will not go in detail because all the issues and problems, macro, micro level, have been highlighted by Ashraf, which are similar to Myanmar, and even Myanmar is worse than Afghanistan in many, many respects. I will not go in detail, but thank you very much, Bob, for giving this opportunity and for the reflection on Afghanistan situation. Thank you so much. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Monir. Very useful, and I think it's clear that just from the different interventions that there's an almost total rebuild in terms of institutions and capacities that's required, if not a full bit of augmentation in that regard. But you still see a lot of really positive work that's being done in both countries. So there's, again, a lot to be learned here. So thank you for your interventions. Let's jump over to Mr. Ali in Iran, if you're with us. We give you 2 to 3 minutes.
Yes.
Again, to reflect on some additionalities of beyond
Sure.
what's been said already. Thank you. Over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Bob, Ashraf, and other colleagues for this good presentation. Iran is also a country in situation right now, even in worst case scenario, we are, even facing some challenges in the coming days, maybe. But there are several similarities with other countries in the same let's say geopolitical or political situation. But there are differences as well. I would like to highlight on the differences. In Iran, the share of agriculture in GDP is much less than Afghanistan. It's something around maximum 10%. And in job generation, it's also very low. It's something around 12-13%. But the main issue is that Iran agriculture sector is producing over about 80% of the food demanded in the country, and there is a gap of 20%. At the same time, the most important, limiting factor for agriculture in Iran is water resources, and Iran is water scarce like Afghanistan and many other countries in the region. But the main issue is that to fill the gap, government has gone for expanding irrigation system, increasing the land for agriculture instead of going for productivity. And after decades going for that strategy, they are now realizing that they are facing the problems with water scarcity, and they are, trying to reverse the angle and go for more productivity, increasing the efficiency, both irrigation efficiency and productivity. So these are the differences between Iran and some other countries in the crisis or in situation. But I would add to the implementation challenges as well. Iran is a country in huge sanction regime, and these sanctions are affecting both resource mobilization initiatives in the country, as well as implementation and partnership. We have nowadays, I would say, very limited, bilateral donors. Many funds that you were speaking of are blocked to the country. Even JEF was blocked to the country. The last JEF project of the country belonged to JEF 4. Since JEF 5, it was totally blocked to the country, and there is no resources coming from JEF. And climate change is one of the key factors which is affecting agriculture and productivity in the country. So I would say that these are the differences in the context of the countries in the situation. And what we expect from the headquarters and regional office is more, support vis-a-vis, strategic alignment of our work with the government demand, helping us with strategic, analytical support vis-a-vis our advantages, our comparative advantage. And we have 18 other UN agencies in the country. And we should see how we can best partner with them, and help to position ourselves better in the work with the government towards better production. So these are the key elements of Iran trying to give additional elements from another country in a situation. And thank you, and over from my side.
Thank you very much, Ali, for your very useful reflections and bringing again this issue of water management and a handful of other better positioning, aligning our strategies, et cetera. I think these are not unusual to all countries, but the nuance of how you do it in that particular country is the big difference. So thanks for enlightening these points to this audience. I'm going to jump over to our last intervention. Sheikh, over to you. The last couple of minutes. We'll open the floor for 9-10 minutes for some reflections, and we'll move into tea break maybe 10 minutes later than expected. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Good morning, colleagues. Country and situation, DPRK is probably the worst condition, rather what we are listening from Afghanistan, Myanmar, and also Iran. DPRK having 26 million people, and according to a WPFO assessment conducted in 2019, more than 10 million people are food insecure. So this is the country context, and over the last 4.5 years on the pandemic situation, we do not know what the situation is inside the country because there is no information flow of getting information and data from the country. FAO is operating in a difficult situation, considering the similar like Iran, having the UN Security Council sanctions to the country, and this impacts on banking channel. Literally, there is no functional channels now for transaction of cash into the country, and for every procurement, we have an issue of getting sanction exemption from the 17-18 sanction committee of the Security Council. So this is the overall country situation. But the current program of FAO is contributing all to better production. If we consider the 3 CPF priorities of DPRK, better production, the CPF priority 1 contributes to the better production, which is increasing national food production and strengthening national food security by attaining self-sufficiency in food supply. Considering the challenges of contributing to better production, one of the major challenges, I should say that only 17% of the land is arable. Considering the target of attaining self-sufficiency, considering the government priority of introducing double cropping, despite the huge challenge of seed system, modern technologies, irrigation structures, and modern irrigation facilities, including the very often occurrence of disasters like flood, typhoon, and drought in the country. Like the recent one was in July. Devastating flood had a big impact on agriculture production. Still, we do not have the information, but we can imagine the destruction or damage that happened in the agriculture production. So these are the big challenges of achieving the self-sufficiency. But government had also a long list of priorities in the agriculture sector, starting from modern technology, developing capacities of the institutions like researchers, technicians, and the farmers. At the same time, there is in other priorities, we have been also in touch with supporting the government of supporting the animal health production, including feed system, supporting the aquaculture, supporting the modernization of double cropping and introducing double cropping and varieties, etc. So these are some of the major areas that the government is seeking support from FAO. Apart from that, the other important areas are establishing modern infrastructures for irrigation management, and more importantly, to managing the disasters like what FAO did in 2023, drafting an anticipatory action plan for DPRK in managing drought, typhoon, and flood. So these are the major context of DPRK. We have a very small office, but currently we have 8 TCP projects ongoing. Those are contributing out of 8, 6 are contributing to BP1, 1 in contributing to BP2, and 1 to BP5. 1 minute, yeah. I go to the last point because one of the important things is seeking support from RAP, from HQ, and we expand our network even beyond HQ, because whenever we have a submission for exemption approval for procurement of items under projects, we have to coordinate with our liaison office in New York and Washington, because these are the colleagues playing a very crucial role of having informal consultation with the sanction committee members before we submit any sanction approval request. And the recent one was just day before yesterday that we received an approval of sanction exemption for procurement of items under one of the projects that called Digital Agriculture for DPR Korea. So that's I should also express my sincere gratitude, because the technical officers from RAP, because with this uniqueness, working outside from the country, having a small office, but approval of the project, implementation of the projects, I think the technical officers are very, very proactively supporting our efforts in operationalizing, implementing the projects. We're also in touch with OER in HQ, EST, Finance Division, because the cash flow, every time we have to consult with our finance division how to bring cash to the country. And most importantly, at the senior management level, also DDG Beth Office is extremely supporting whenever we are making a submission, because this submission is very crucial that we procure items, deliver this to the farmers. But the process goes so long, and coordination among units are very crucial. I want to stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheikh. So for very different contexts, but all dealing with some level of either crisis management, emergency, civil unrest, et cetera, security issues. But I think a lot of the agriculture issues come down to very similar things, looking at our typical mandate, but probably a more complex scenario of having to unpack broader initiatives and look at these from a wider perspective. Let me open the floor just for a moment, if there's any reflections, comments. Ken, over to you.
Thank you so much to all the presenters for the excellent interventions and also for delivering under very challenging circumstances. I have more of a question specifically for our colleagues in Myanmar and Afghanistan, where I think the majority of the projects are ASRO projects. So, and I assume that you receive a lot of technical backstopping from OER. There are 12 teams in OER. So, is there a team in OER that provides technical support for production-related issues, or is that still coming from NSB? So I was just curious, so
Yeah.
that's the question. Thank you.
Okay. Can I come?
Thanks, Ken. Does anyone online care to answer that?
Can I come in? Hi, Bob.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will respond to this because, as you highlighted, we are working in a very intense and escalating crisis situation. Regarding the support for better production for Myanmar, FAO Myanmar, we have been receiving extraordinary support. And by the dint of that support, we have been able to continue our support to the affected population. I will mention RAP support for especially engaging with the de facto authorities under the UNCT principles of engagement, because this is exceptional engagement. So we have been able, by the support and also technical guidance, that now our work plan has been approved after 2 years of delay. So this is one of the support RAP and HKF has provided. Apart from that, with OER, PSR, and legal, and even headquarters, we have received a lot of managerial support as well, especially the guidance on the new organizational law, engagement with the CSOs. So we have been able to engage with almost 15, 17 CSOs who are facing challenges. So we have modality to engage. We have 12 LTOs who are dedicated for Myanmar, and we have been able to formulate and to implement almost more than 15 TCP projects in a very short duration of time. So this is tremendous support. Apart from that, we have been receiving support for ACTAD, which is transboundary animal diseases and disease surveillance, which is very challenging area in Myanmar. So we have been supporting, and under One Health, we have been implementing by colleagues in RAP and also in OER and HKO. We have been able to also get the support of the FAO Chief Security Unit, CSLS, on also legal in coordinating and supporting with the de facto authorities. So these are all the contributions we are receiving from RAP and HKO. Regarding the OER, we are conducting assessment. Yep. So we are getting also support in the meal and in the assessment. For the way forward, yes, okay.
Thank you, Munir. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry to cut you off. We're running low on time. I'll just add one point to this with OER with each of the countries in transition in situation. There's either a monthly or weekly coordination meeting that's established where they work with the emergency teams and share what's happening. OER typically helps with a lot of the resource mobilization and things like cash transfer, anticipatory action. There's also a team in RAP that deals with those two exact things. When there's let's say a cyclone or flood and you need a package of seed delivery or better production that immediately goes out, it goes through a technical units here, the clearance of those packages, but they're developed at country level. With OER, if they need to bring in a different technical officer under better production, they'll bring that officer in and coordinate that work. But so on the technical side, the LTOs that deal with technical work are brought in, but when it comes to the emergency work, OER and RAP coordinate to ensure that those more emergency components are managed. Does that answer your question? Closer?
There are 12 teams, right? So
yeah, and from Afghanistan.
Question for
Yeah. I'm Ashraf. I'm going to jump to another question, just because we're actually out of time. And I just want to see if there's any other thoughts in the audience, and then I'll encourage Ashraf and Ken just to have a conversation on the side. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or thoughts? Okay, Ashraf, I give you 1 minute to respond to Ken.
Yeah, it's very quick response that I confirm what mentioned by both of you regarding the support coming from headquarters and from the regional office as well. I do confirm that almost each month we have a box of visits from different departments supporting the bitter production and even other bitters, but also NSP and OER they are providing a lot of support for the country office here. Again, you were mentioning about the assessment and other things. They are also supporting different type of assessment and analysis. and also providing technical. And as I know, our LTOs, most of them, they are in different offices, including headquarter. Just want to confirm this, and almost every month we have a backstop visits from different colleagues, either from NSP or from OER as well. Over to you.
Thank you, Ashraf. I see a lot of sleepy heads in front of me. Let's close the session. So my personal takeaway from this, and that I've been my observation for probably the last half decade in FAO or more, again, it's not about what we do, it's about how we do it. And that's evolving rapidly. And again, we need to be brokers and look beyond our personal expertise and be able to create linkages and leverage other partner organizations if we're going to succeed in the mandate that we do. Thank you all for your attentiveness. I apologize for going 15 minutes over on this session. Please have a very good tea break, and we'll rejoin in 10, 15 minutes. Yeah.